Hello there, back in the kitchen. As I mentioned, I'm going to process some apples today for water bath canning. I'll do them with a little bit of cinnamon and nutmeg in a light sugar syrup. So I've got them over winter. Yummy for desserts, nice with yogurt, nice with a bit of ice cream, or as a filling for pancakes, that type of thing. It's only my hubby and I here in the house, so I do them in smallish lots. Saves waste, and if I do happen to have to make an apple pie, I just grab out a few jars. So very, very easy to have on hand. And we've got all of these beautiful apples, so I'll just turn you around. And my big basket on the kitchen bench, it's a bit of a pain but to have it here, but it'll spur me on to keep doing something with the apples, because I don't want to waste them. They're gorgeous and they taste so good. So let's start. I'm just going to peel the apples, and I was going to get my peeler out, but I won't. I'll just use my beautiful new paring knife and just peel it, because I want to cut the apples into pieces. Look at that. And this just smells so delicious, so gorgeous. And you know what? I wish I could tell you the variety of the apple. It was a gift from my youngest daughter. Oh gosh, years ago now, 5, 6 years ago. And I've lost the tag, of course. Look at that. And it just produces the most beautiful, humongous apples. So I'll just put that in. I've got a container with water to stop it from discolouring. And I'll get a little bowl, put these in. The girls can have these, my tweeties can have these today. So I'll come back when these are all done and I'll show you what I will be doing next. I've peeled all my apples. I'm just going to cut them into pieces that will fit into my jars. I put them back into the water to stop them from discolouring. So I've cut up the apples into these pieces. I'm going to pack them into jars, but before I do that, I'll drain off this water that I think I forgot to tell you that I put some lemon juice in there to stop any discoloration. Okay, so I have sprinkled a tablespoonful of sugar, a tablespoonful of cinnamon, and some fresh nutmeg over this. I just want to show you the patterns. Can you see that inside the nutmeg? Isn't that incredible? So pretty. So I used about a half, and I grated it. Now, even though these are eating apples, they're still wonderful in desserts. Means you don't have to add quite as much sugar, or it's always to your taste anyway. But because they're eating apples, it doesn't mean I'm going to not cook with them. I'm definitely going to cook with them and not waste any of them. And I'll bottle these, and these will be lovely in a light syrup. So I'm just going to pack the apples down into each jar, and then I will top them with the syrup. I'll give them a headspace. I'll wipe the rims, and I'll show you a little bit more. Then I'll top it up with the sugar syrup, and we'll go from there. So I filled my jars. I've packed the apples in fairly snugly, and I have got my syrup, which the reason it's that colour, I've tipped the juice that was produced from the apples into the syrup and waste nothing. Just a quick mention about the method I'm using. It's called raw pack, and it's, as it suggests, the fruit or the food is packed into the jars in its raw state. I'm going to fill it to the top, giving it headspace enough for it to expand under heat. when it's being processed in a hot water bath. Now, just a word of warning. I'm doing this when everything is room temperature. If you are going to process anything, make sure your bottles or your jars are hot. If your product is hot and your syrup or stock or whatever it is that you happen to be processing must be roughly the same temperature. Otherwise, you'll end up with thermal shock. The same goes with when putting it into your boiler or whatever it is that you're processing the food in. The water, if the bottles are cold, the water must be room temperature. If the bottles are warm, the water must be warm. And the same when you're removing it from the hot water. You must never, ever, ever put your hot jar onto a cold surface. Otherwise, hot liquid and food everywhere, glass, shards of glass everywhere, is not pleasant. So be very, very mindful of that. I've filled the jars and I'm going to just try and debubble them. And this special tool is used for that purpose. You just jiggle it around as best you can just to release any air bubbles that might be in the jars. Okay, so wiping the lip. And I just put the lids on finger tight. And whatever you do, don't tighten them once they come out of your processing saucepan or pressure canner or what have you, because that'll break the seal. I'm going to now get my canner out. I'm not going to use it as a pressure canner. I'm going to use it just simply as a water bath canner. I do that because it's big. I can fit all 6 jars in. I've got my canner ready and I'm just going to show you. It's got a little metal trivet on the inside, and that's so your jars don't touch the heat source directly, otherwise the jars will crack. So I'm just going to pop them all in, giving them a little bit of room. And then I'm going to fill the saucepan or the pan with just lukewarm water. Just water straight from the tap. Now, when you're water bath canning, you need to have the water about 3 centimetres above the lid. Okay, so I'll do that. I'm going to fill it up with just a saucepan. I'll just do it that way. Somebody said to me once, wow, that's a lot of effort that you go to preserve food. And I thought, well, no, not really. It's still so much cheaper and better for you than what you potentially can buy, just for a little bit of your effort, really. So you're in control here, you know. So if you can get fruit or vegetables for a really good price, or if you gifted anything, or if you grow something, this is still by far the healthiest alternative for you and your family, and more cost effective than anything. So now I've just filled up my canner. I'm going to, I just turned the heat on, and I'm going to wait for this to come up to a boil. Then I'm going to pop the lid on and time it for 20 minutes. These need to be processed. Once that timer goes off, remove the lid very carefully so you don't burn yourself with steam. Turn the heat off. Leave these jars in your canner or your large saucepan, what have you, for 10 minutes. Then very, very carefully remove them with a jar lifter. And I do recommend you buy one of these if you're going to do any type of home preserving that involves heating jars. It makes it a lot safer, a lot easier. And as I've mentioned before, and I'll mention it again, when you remove them, put them on either a dry folded towel on your kitchen bench top, or onto a wooden chopping board or nylon chopping board covered in a dry tea towel. Thermal shock, you want to avoid that. Then these jars need to be left for 24 hours in a safe spot away from little fingers and big fingers. As I've mentioned before, you can always take that precaution, move it well away from harm's reach. Right, so the apples have finished processing and they've been sitting here for about 10 minutes. So I'll just gently grab one out and show you. Transfer it over onto, I've got a wooden chopping board with a nice dry tea towel there. So I'm going to let them sit here for 24 hours. So that's it. So don't forget to mark on the jar somewhere the date. And you've got these for about a year. So I hope this has been useful for you and you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed having you. Lovely to have your company once again. And bye for now.